Hi guys, I hope you're good. We're now having a look at Nasdaq 100, and as you guys can see, we are on the weekly chart. And one of the first things that I can see that is very much important is the fact that we have this candlestick over here. It is a bearish candlestick with a small body and a relatively long lower wick, and it tells us that at this level over here, which is the 10464 level, we have a lot of liquidity at that point. And as you guys know by now, liquidity represents money that needs to be triggered by the market at one point or another. So I'm just going to mark this area over here, right? And I will also make it a different color. So just bear with me guys while I do so. I'll make it a let's just make it this color, which seems to be blood red or something like that. Nonetheless, let's continue. So what else do we see guys in regards to the weekly chart of Nasdaq 100? Another thing that I see guys in regards to this particular chart is that we had this M structure over here, which is an overextended M structure where that first leg is much higher than that second leg, and we saw price over the last couple of weeks coming back to that neckline to test it. And you guys know by now that whenever we have a situation where price comes back to the neckline to test it, at that neckline is where we normally look for potential selling opportunities. And at this point over here, we saw the market push further down, right? So what I'm gonna do guys is just to add a neckline to that M structure, or rather add a neckline for that M structure. Let's see. We could say that more or less this level over here is the neckline of that M structure. So I'm just gonna make it a different color as well. Let's make it a more visible color, such as a blue. There we go, right? Yeah, so what else do we see guys in regards to this particular chart? So let me just zoom in a bit. So what I expect on my side guys is for the market to push further down to this level, and as I've said, number one, that is because at this level we have that, or rather this liquidity candlestick, which is carrying liquidity at that level, and liquidity represents money that needs to be triggered by the market at one point or another. Number two, we had this overextended M structure, and we had price coming back to the neckline to test it. And as I said, at that neckline is where we would look for potential selling opportunities, and I expect price to push further down to around this level to just complete that formation, because we have a lot of, as I've said, money sitting at this level, right? So let's proceed guys. So what else do we see guys in regards to this particular chart of Nasdaq 100? Another thing that I see that is also very much interesting is that as much as we had this overextended M structure over here with a neckline over there, we also had another smaller M structure over here which also had a neckline at that level over there, right? So as much as I'm saying that the anticipation at this point in time is for the market to push further down to around this level, what may actually happen is the market from where it is may push further up to just test the neckline of that M structure, and if it does so, at this level is where we would look for potential selling opportunities. And if we do find any, our next take profit level would be this zone over here, right? And that is because guys, as I've said, whenever we have M structures, we want to see ideally the market coming back to the neckline to test it, and at that neckline is where we would look for potential selling opportunities, right? So that is the weekly chart. From here, what I'm going to do is head down to the daily chart. In fact, yeah, before we proceed with the daily chart, I just want to add a neckline for that smaller M structure, right, which is around this level over here. Let me just actually go back to the weekly chart. Can you guys see that guys, this M structure over here, right? Let me go back to the daily chart, and on the daily chart we can see that the pattern has actually expressed itself as a triple top, as you guys can see. And as I've said, the neckline is at that point, right? And just remember that, just to recap, we have this level over here, and the anticipation is for the market to push to that level, right? Having said that, because of this triple top or M formation on the weekly chart, we might potentially see the market push up to this level to just test that neckline, and at that level we might potentially see the market push further down to around this level. So if price does come to this level, at that level is where we should be looking for potential selling opportunities, right? Anyway, let's proceed. So what else do we see, guys, in regards to the daily chart of Nasdaq 100? Before we proceed, I actually want to add our channel. Just bear with me, guys, while I do so. Let's see. So we could say that more or less this is our daily channel, right? And if we look at our daily channel, we can see that we had multiple rejections on the channel, right? And you guys know by now that whenever we have channels and we have a situation where price rejects a channel, right? Like in this particular situation where we've had a rejection at that point, another rejection at that point. On the third rejection, that's where we expect price to move further down, right? And we expect a very strong sell, right? Like we have in this case over here. And as I've said, I expect the market to move down to that level more or less, right? Anyway, let's proceed, guys. Let me just zoom in a bit. So what else do we see, guys, in regards to the daily chart, right? As much as we've had a third rejection at this level over here, just also bear in mind that at this level over there we have that candlestick, which is a bullish candlestick with a small body and a long upper wick, right? And similar to this candlestick over here, which we had on the weekly chart, which is carrying liquidity at that point, this particular candlestick is also carrying a lot of liquidity at this point. And as much as the anticipation at this point in time is for the market to push further down to around this level, in the future we will see price head up to this level to grab that liquidity. And that is because, as I've said, guys, liquidity represents money that needs to be triggered by the market at one point or another, right? Anyway, let's proceed, guys. So what else do we see, guys, in regards to this particular chart? At this point, really, I don't see much really. So what I will do now is head down to the H4 chart. So on the H4 chart, I'm just gonna fix my channel, so just bear with me, guys, while I do so. And just remember that we just need to ensure that our channels are as accurate as can be, just to ensure that ultimately when we do execute, our execution is also very much accurate, right? So we could say that more or less that is our daily channel, right? And here we are on the H4 chart. On the H4 chart, I'm going to do the very same thing where I add my H4 channel as well.